and I was trying to understand like a typical timeline for someone who has like 2 to 3 years of work experience who just received their H-1B. Would that experience affect the um, timeline of the process, or is
Okay.
it does, or the experience doesn't matter at this stage?
As far as the timeline, and you're talking 3 years is your work experience, and your question is if 3 years is sufficient.
Yeah, and like because my company just like because I just received my H-1B, they started the work for I-140, but that looks like an indefinite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Your core question was that is 3 years enough experience
Yep.
technically? Okay. So we got an approval this week, and that profile had 2.5 years of 2.5 to 3 years of experience. I had 1.5 years of experience max when I filed. But I have stopped using mine as a textbook example because that was like 5 years ago. Now I have like other examples to show, so I kind of show those. A couple of clients that we've recently also have happened to get approved are around the 2 to 3 year mark. It is true that in general, most of the client, the average tenure level is around the 5 to 8 year mark in general. That's just because the more you are in your career, the more frustrated you are about the wait. So essentially there's a tipping point where they're like, okay, screw it, I'm going to do whatever it takes, right? Like that kind of thing. But it is not an indication of like someone with like lesser experience cannot do it, right? It's kind of decoupled from experience. It's more coupled to what is the focus area you work on. You mentioned that you work on modeling and analytics. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it like more of like fraud modeling?
Yeah, I work
risk?
for consumer banking and payments on regulatory. Yep.
Right. So as long as there is some focus area like that, of which there are many other people as well, it should be. Again, I don't know your entire profile, so I don't want to comment definitely on this. But the focus area is what matters, and then we kind of focus deeply on that area, and then try to establish you as a thought leader in that space. Now, if you look at the policy manual that USCIS puts out, which is the guideline for how their officers need to adjudicate EB1A cases, they have explicitly mentioned that they cannot consider the candidate's age or length of tenure, i.e. experience, as a yardstick to measure their extraordinary ability. So they have very clearly said that that is not a parameter, but indirectly that becomes a parameter anyway. If there is no focus and like you have like a very less number of years of experience, there's not much you can do with such profiles anyway. But that's not the case with all profiles. In fact, it's not the case with most profiles, especially in tech. Because in tech, when you're working somewhere, more often than not, there is a certain area of focus.